Welcome everyone. This is Felipe Zambrano with Garrick Solutions, and I have the pleasure of being with attorney Aviv Asoulin from EPGD Business Law. Aviv, welcome.
Thank you, Felipe. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. So for those of you that are watching, could you share with us a little bit of your story and kind of like your approach to law and also your experience? Because I think that would give a better understanding of how you see things, how you approach processes, and how you help businesses or business owners solve situations or become more prepared.
Certainly. Like Felipe said, I'm Aviv Asoulin. I'm here at EPGD Business Law. I'm the managing attorney of our corporate department. And personally, I was raised in a family of small business owners and entrepreneurs. And so I know what it's like to have to deal with legal issues and take time away from running your business in order to address those. So that's what I'm here for. That's what we here at EPGD Business Law are here for. We're a full-service business law firm with a wide range of legal services tailored towards business owners, entrepreneurs. Some of the practice areas within our corporate department are corporate formation, partnership agreements, which we'll be talking about today, tax planning, franchising, securities, meaning potentially bringing on investors, and generally strategic business planning. What the role we like to take with our clients is general counsel, right? So really being there every step of the way as their business grows, from formation to hopefully going public or selling to
Acquired acquisition,
selling to private capital, anything like that.
That's amazing, because as a business owner, like, you want to make sure that you can have like a long-term relationship. And like one thing that we were mentioning kind of prior to our interview was that you mentioned that if you were able to design an agreement or work with a client at the beginning or early stages, and then something happens in the future, you're able to come back and there's that history of the relationship, versus being as a business owner kind of left alone of, well, now what do I do? I'm stuck in this situation. The prior firm that I was working with just doesn't provide litigation or other services, and now I need to explain kind of all of my history to somebody else versus just having that continuity.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what's inspired our firm to really be full service law firm for business owners, right? Really be able to handle all types of situations beyond just the preparation of certain agreements when they start a transaction, but also be able to handle the issues that may arise in the future from those transactions or from other relationships.
Amazing, wonderful. So let's dive right in. So tell us about partnership agreements and kind of like the different components for those of us that don't know.
Certainly. So partnership agreements are a really fundamental part of starting a business. When you have partners, the partnership agreement could take many forms. It could be an operating agreement, a shareholders agreement, a joint venture agreement, depending on the structure. But the general concept is still the same. And what I like to tell my clients they should be focusing on when developing those agreements are three components. They're broad components, and many things can fall into these three categories. But generally, what we're looking at is what are our roles within the business, each party's roles, two being who makes what sort of decisions, how do we make decisions, whether by majority, by unanimous consent, and three being what if any are the restrictions in exiting the business, whether somebody were to pass away or somebody wants to sell their interest. Certain events can occur that result in people either being unhappy or for various reasons just needing to exit the business.
Right, life changes. Yeah, so as you're talking about these, one thing that came to mind is that as a business owner, sometimes you don't know the type of agreement that you want or what's in your best interest for everybody. And one of the conversations that we had earlier was that you have experience in structuring these agreements or have also seen how others have structured their business. So that provides peace of mind to the business owners that you are on the right path, or these are best practices when establishing a partnership agreement.
Of course. And so when looking at those three components, the question oftentimes we'll get is, well, what do most people do, right? What's standard in these types of agreements? And that's part of the experience that our team can bring. And beyond that, there's almost always a certain aspect of, well, outside of what's standard, this specific partner may need certain out of the box solutions, or whether it be from a financial perspective or from an operational perspective, we can also provide those creative solutions. And so, kind of touching on that, when I talk about the three components, right? First being our roles in the business. Our roles are twofold. One being, what is our role in starting the business? So what are we contributing to start the business?
Mm-hmm.
And that could be certain partners bringing in financing, they may have capital, certain partners bringing in a book of business, maybe they already have clients in the industry, or certain partners bringing in certain expertise, right? Maybe. And so what I see oftentimes is one partner may have the capital to support a business, another partner has some experience in the industry, but maybe not the capital, and they'll collaborate, right? And so that's what they're bringing at the forefront. As the business continues, what are our roles in the day-to-day, right? Who's actually going to run the business? Who's going to hire employees? Who's going to do the sales, right? All of that. Are we going to do it together, or is it really one of us going to run the operations? And so beyond defining those initial roles, we then look at how do we make certain decisions? Who makes what decisions, right? And so we'll usually have certain people who are more or less managers who can kind of do day-to-day operations without needing to call all the other
direct
partners.
Supervision. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, have some autonomy. Certain people who have some autonomy for certain decisions, right? We don't need to get the confirmation of all the partners every time we want to hire an employee or certain things like that.
Or pay rent, or just running monthly expenses. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on the other end of that, we have certain decisions that we'll oftentimes consider to be major decisions where all the partners need to agree. And what we're usually looking at there is adding new partners, expanding our business into a new line of business, or even amending the actual partnership agreement that has all of these restrictions, right? And then there's almost always some middle ground of decisions that are not exactly day to day, but they're part of ordinary course of business, where usually what we're looking at there is majority of the partners agreeing, right? And so all of that can be, of course, adjusted in different ways for different partners' interests, depending on the specific situation.
Awesome. And then so that leads me to one question is, so at the stage where we started a business, where our minds are in a different place, where we're trying to struggle and build and develop and push, but let's say 3 or 5 years down the line, the business is running smoothly, things are growing, things are changing. Is it possible to do a change in the partnership agreement at that stage if interests change?
Of course. It is not only possible, it's advised to go back and look at your partnership agreement and make sure it's still in everybody's best interest, because what was in your best interest when you started the business may be different now, right? And so whether that be the way we allocate profits and losses and distributions, or whether that be each partner's roles, or even just how we make certain decisions, right? And as you grow, maybe you bring on another partner. That could be that would definitely be a reason we should amend our operating agreement, right? Maybe we want to bring on certain partners who won't have a voting interest, and we need to consider that. So there's various reasons why we may want to amend our partnership agreement, and it's advised to go back and look at it and make sure that it is still consistent with your objectives. Right.
That's amazing. And so my last question for this part of our interview series is that, well, what happens if we don't? Unfortunately, some business owners might just want to go off and just start business and no partnership agreement. So what happens in those cases?
So unfortunately, what happens is the company, whether it's an LLC or a partnership or a corporation, will be subject to certain default rules. Those default rules are in the statutes of each state. And oftentimes those default rules are not beneficial to minority members, and many times they're not beneficial to any of the owners, because oftentimes those regulations will allow any member to or partner to sell their interest, exit the business freely. It will also usually provide that almost all decisions are simply made by majority, regardless of other considerations
or capital investment, or
regardless of capital investment or the specific roles of the different partners, right? Maybe there's an oral agreement that I'm going to run this sector of the business, but if the other partner has a majority, they can make decisions that relate to that sector as well under the default rules. So the importance of really having a written out a partnership agreement really can't be overstated, because you have no control as to what's actually in the statutes, and an oral agreement won't have much effect when you don't have a written operating agreement, because the statutes provide that if you don't have a written operating agreement or partnership agreement, then the rules
defaults.
Yeah, the rules govern.
Amazing. So obviously no one wants to be in that situation, but then if you don't know that such situation exists or it can occur, verbal agreements go out the door, because now it becomes just hearsay, and then both are just stuck in an uncomfortable situation. So Aviv, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this, and I'm looking forward to our next discussion, where we're going to dive deeper into just exit strategies for partnerships.
Of course. Thank you, Felipe.
Wonderful.